Master, wheezed my own personal Renfield. Might this unworthy one make a request for you to review? Since you are reviewing at request now, I will pay you 12 dirty socks to review lucky number Slevin. I decided to pass on the socks and I figured I'd check out the request since, well...
Your wish is my command.
Well, why not? I like crime thrillers and the trailers look pretty interesting with a solid twisty narrative, and finding hidden gems and showing them to the world is one of a critic's great joys. Aside from being able to absolutely slate something terrible. That's fun as well.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
But back to Lucky Number Slevin and another film that makes my autocorrect go absolutely loopy. It's directed by Paul McGowan? On screen. Who looks to have spent most of his career making stuff for TV, with several good episodes of Sherlock, Luke Cage, Designated Survivor, and an episode of that unwatchable Dracula series the BBC unleashed last Christmas. Yeah. Cinema-wise, he's not exactly a mark of quality either, with film stars Don't Die in Liverpool, Victor Frankenstein, and Wicker Park being solid is the best way to describe them. The kind of films you don't hunt out, but if they're on, you'd probably catch them. And solid is the exact phrase I would use to describe Lucky Number Slevin. It's got the kind of story that I would normally associate with Guy Ritchie, a load of story threads that all tangle up with each other, and normally ends with a high body count, except here it feels more streamlined and more generic than what you can expect from Mr. Ritchie. There's fewer threads, it's not as clever as it thinks it is, and for some unknown reason, several scenes just feel like they were given to Quentin Tarantino, and at times that can be a little out of place, and feel like they merely exist to pad runtime rather than to develop character, or even feel like something that the characters would say. I mean, this isn't a bad film by any stretch. The cast alone, Bruce Willis in the finest hairpiece that Lego can make, is fine as the kind of inscrutable hitman that only Bruce Willis can play. You've got God himself, Morgan Freeman, and Sir Ben Kingsley's rival crime bosses, Josh Hartnett. Remember him? Apparently he's still working, but the last thing I remember him in was The Faculty back in 1998, or 30 Days of Night in 2008, is fine as Slevin, whose case of mistaken identity lands him in the middle of a war being plotted by two of the city's most rival crime bosses, the Rabbi and the Boss. Slevin is under constant surveillance by relentless Detective Bukowski, as well as the infamous assassin Goodcat, and finds himself having to hatch his own ingenious plan to get them before they get him. Which is as much of the plot as I'm prepared to reveal, because in a film like this, the less you know, the more you'll enjoy it, or be vaguely entertained by it whilst checking that there isn't anything better going on. It's all good. But there's a slightly bigger issue with the film in that it just feels slightly overwritten, overthought, overplotted. It's the kind of film that every angle has been thought out. Every curveball isn't really a curveball because it's already been foreseen and planned for. Almost none of the characters seem anything more than mildly interested. I mean, you've got motivations here that range from avenging dead children to desperately scrubbing to survive in a new and highly dangerous game, and you can spend 5 minutes debating the best James Bond, Dalton, always Dalton, or, for asking someone to kill your child's killer, would you really reminisce about a cartoon character from back in the day? I mean, if the characters aren't really interested in what they're doing and having done to them, why should I be? Now, the only exception to this rule is bizarrely played by Lucy Liu as what I can only describe as a puppy in human form, which isn't something I normally associate with Liu. She's excitable, enthusiastic, friendly, and also as a result, she slightly stands out. The script ties itself in knots with arguably the weakest reason for introducing a character I think I've ever seen via another Tarantino-esque out-of-place monologue, naturally. She's slightly more than a love interest, but slightly less than a character. It's weird, and I'm not quite sure what to make of her, but if she didn't exist, then I don't think the film would have a single named female character, let alone one with dialogue, which even in 2006 was not a good look. Visually, there's not much to write home about. It's a touch stylish and cold, but that ties in with what I was saying about this film being slightly cold and pleased with itself. Sadly though, Lucky Number Slevin was released a few months after Guy Ritchie's near-unwatchable Revolver and found that people were unwilling to come back to the auditorium for a second helping. It's garnered a bit of a cult following in the years since, but to my mind, this is the supermarket own brand of this type of film. It's not as cool as Ocean's 11, not as much fun or twisty as Lock, Stock. It's not quite got the dialogue of Tarantino. It's just a mush of all three. And like I say, if I was channel hopping one evening, do people still channel hop, or is that died a death? I would probably stop at it, but I wouldn't seek it out. So if nothing else is on and you've ploughed through most of the good Guy Ritchie films, check this out. Otherwise, just don't bother. But what did you guys think? And do you have any requests for me to check out? Comment below, let me know. I'm Daniel. It's been a Dunker's Choice. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe.